All right, welcome back to Jim's Guitar Garage. In this video, we're going to be covering this neck for the black Limba Strat. So hope you guys enjoy the video. Please remember to like and subscribe. I appreciate all you guys watching. Hello, thank you. All right, welcome back to the channel. In the last video, for those of you who watched it, if you didn't, go back and watch it. I had spoken to my brother after I stripped off the face of the headstock and the rear of the headstock. Talked to him and kind of showed him some pictures of what it looked like and convinced him to strip the whole thing, strip the whole neck and get rid of that reddish kind of splotchy or blotchy stain that they had put on. So without any further ado, here is the new neck, or the newly cleaned up neck. So I taped off some areas over here. You guys should be able to see this. Taped off, you know, where the Warmoth logo was and everything, so we don't get rid of that. So after several hours of standing, we now have returned the neck back to maple. So we are gonna finish this. We're gonna put some more of the Tru-oil on it, and then this will have a nice shiny finish. And then I'm going to kind of move this. Hopefully you guys can see that there's nothing really on here. I did rub just a fine thing of Tru-oil on here, but if you guys look, you guys can see some figuring and stuff over here, and all, you know, all up the neck and several spots that I kind of pointed out earlier. Once we get a couple layers of Tru-oil on there, it's going to look nice. We got to redo the head here. I ended up sanding down the both sides of the headstock just a little bit, just to get out some fine scratches that were in there. So next video, or the next segment of this video, we're going to be applying some Tru-oil to this. You know what? Let's just do it now. So let me cut a little piece of this old t-shirt or whatever it was here. So one of the things I've mentioned in another one of my videos, if you guys are using Tru-oil, this oil hardens. So it's not like, you know, it's not really like a tongue oil or anything like that. So you can see this is an older patch that I use. This thing is pretty stiff and pretty rigid, so you want to make sure this, and as this oil dries, it actually can warm up a little bit. So you want to make sure you don't leave these things all in a ball like this and then just throw it off on the side, because they can spontaneously combust. So make sure you open these up, you just set them off on the side, let the thing dry out, let it air out. So Tru-oil application, pretty easy. Just want to open it up. I've just poked a little pinhole in here, so I'm just going to squeeze a little bit out. The first coat we're going to put on pretty thick. We want to make sure we rub it in real good. So all you do is take this little thing, just make a little ball there, and then just take this and just start rubbing it in. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but you can already see that this thing is looking pretty nice. Got a nice gloss to it. So we're going to continue on with this. We're probably going to put at least 5 coats on this. We'll just kind of, you know, we'll kind of play it by ear, I guess, and how it looks and stuff like that, and how it's building up. Because the one thing about maple that you'll notice if you guys apply Tru-oil on maple, so you want to rub this in really hard and just kind of force it in, especially the first couple layers. You want to put it on kind of thick, and then just let it soak in. Oh, drop some on the table there. Let's get that. Here, we'll get these out of the way. I just had it up on there because I was cleaning the table and it was wet. You can still see it's probably a little bit wet. And then you just rub this in. And then depending on you know, your area, the area that you live in, the humidity and all that. Kind of depends on the drying time. If you're in Arizona, you could probably recoat this thing every, you know, or New Mexico or something, you could probably recoat this thing every 1 to 2 hours. But out here in Hawaii, usually I put this on and I let it dry for at least 12 hours, usually 24. So I just go back the next day, end up putting another coat on. So you can kind of see already that that flame and that figuring is already starting to come out with just one coat. So we will continue to coat this thing, and then I'll show you what it looks like after several coats. Okay, thanks for watching. Shoots. Okay, so we have the neck. A few coats put on it. As you guys can see, the figuring, especially on the back of the headstock here, is really starting to come out. I'm hoping you guys can see all that. So I'm gonna lift this up and show you guys a couple different angles and kind of move it around, and hopefully we can get some pretty good views. So as you can see, there's a lot of figuring and a lot of you know, bird's eyeing and everything else. Definitely a beautiful neck that was covered up with that reddish brown, and you can kind of see right here the color that it used to be. So it was a lot darker, so it covered up a lot of this, and a lot of this figuring just kind of disappeared into it. So we will continue on. After this, we're going to put a few more coats on here. I don't want to go too deep. Probably another two to three coats maximum. We're sanding it back. So we're using this Gator Grit 600B sandpaper in between. You can also use triple O or quad O steel wool. I've also used that. I'll use that probably for the final coat, right before the final coat, to get it nice and polished, and then we'll put the final coat on. And then if my brother wants his neck kind of satined, then we'll probably, you know, after the final coat, we'll probably go over it one more time with this steel wool. And then as you're doing this too, make sure, you know, especially with maple, because maple is a very hard wood, you got to make sure you really push it into this wood. And you know, as you saw in some of the earlier videos, I did not put a lot on here. It only takes a few drops. When I did the last coat that I just put on this a few hours ago, probably about 6 hours ago or so, I put one or two dots on the headstock, and then 3 or 4 down here. And I'm just talking small. Well, as a matter of fact, I'll just show you right now. We'll just put on another coat. This thing is already set up. It's been at least 6 hours, and it's actually a nice, fairly dry, hot day here. So once you hit, you know, your first or second coat, this is pretty much all you need. You can use these rags a couple times. Like this area here is starting to get hard already, so this side right here hasn't had any on it. So we're gonna kind of ball it up with this corner. We're gonna push against the thing. So we'll start up here at the headstock. Just take it, rub it around in circles. Get to the next one, rub that all around. And now the headstock is done, just those 2 little drops. So on the neck, just going to continue on, do the same thing. And then we're going to hit the sides over here because we sanded quite a bit of the finish off. We went all the way down to the bare wood. So we want to make sure this thing fits nice and snug in that neck pocket. We don't want to put too much finish on because we want it more wood to wood contact. So we're probably going to stop on the neck pocket after this. So as you can see, that's it. That's That's another coat of Tru-oil. That's all it takes. So these layers are very, very thin. So even when we talk about, you know, on the body, we're talking about, you know, at least 7 to 10 coats probably. It's very, very thin coats. Just a few drops of this, and that's all it takes. And it's also a lot better for it. Number one, because you know your wood's gonna, you know, not be caked with all this stuff. Number two, the application is very quick and very simple. You saw how long that took. Now we'll wait another, you know, 6 hours or so. We'll put another coat on, you know, probably tonight before I go to bed. And then, as you can see, now that it's, you know, it looks almost the same. It gets a little bit deeper every time. It's hard to pick it up on camera, but you can really, really see it in person. So I'm going to kind of move this around. I know it looks kind of weird, but I'm going to kind of just move this around so you guys can see. But absolutely beautiful neck. As I said, next will be, once we finish this up, we will then be conditioning the fretboard and stuff. I don't want to do it right now. As you can see, we got a little bit of Tru-oil that leaked onto it over here from some earlier coats that I was going kind of heavy. So we'll clean that all up, and I will walk you through that. I'll show you guys how I do it and what I do. And once again, thank you. Appreciate you guys watching a lot. Please subscribe and like the video, and also click the bell icon so you'll be notified when I post new videos. Aloha from Jim's Guitar Garage. Mahalo.